Let's talk about security on our properties. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. So this camera has been stationary for about 3 months now. No touches, no check. And one thing I noticed that was interesting, because there was some evidence elsewhere that there had been traffic here, and the fact that the electric company had been out. So there should be some good footage. I come over here and realize, so I hit enter. It's got a full battery. It has got a few pictures. Let me see, enter. Let's see, we got images. I'm not gonna play with it right now, but it has very few pictures on it for as long as it's been sitting out here. And we're not gonna change it to video. We'll just keep that thing on still. But what that tells me is that somebody likely came up here and turned this baby off. And they turned it off because they're running up and down this road. So how do we know who it was, and how do we kind of lock that down? Because again, I'm showing videos, I'm showing the real life of what's going on. It is hunting season. Well, this of course isn't the only camera at this location. Also, we serialize all of our chips. So I showed you in a past video how one of the SD cards disappeared, and that is likely because somebody walked up to it, take the SD card, and actually you can see the flashing right now, so hopefully we'll get a good picture on it. And it's about time to check the batteries. This one isn't satellite connected, but ultimately somebody has gone through and turned this one off. Now, how do I know it was on? Well, when we install the camera, we have a procedure, and I know it sounds kind of odd to have procedures for doing things, but again, if we have a procedure, it's done the right way, the kid can do it the same way that I do it, and I can be sure that we have a live active camera. I may even have footage somewhere where because I take a snapshot of a live active camera, or I've recorded a video. But again, somebody has turned this off, because otherwise the battery would be almost dead. So about 3 months is how long batteries will work on these. I turn it on, coming up to it. The battery is fully charged. I didn't pull the SD card. I don't have my kit with me. But ultimately, if I had my kit with me, I'd swap the SD card and then take away the card, make a note of the new card I put in. If you want a complete course on how to secure your property, to keep away poachers, to secure your private property in the sense of if there's an issue with food security, that nobody's gonna come take your food, or to otherwise protect your property from liability issues, because if somebody goes blazing up this trail in their ATV and then hurts themselves on my property, then they are a liability to me. And liabilities, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, still have a contributed overhead that we've got to deal with. So if it was a neighbor, I would know. If it's somebody else, I need to know. So ultimately, visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org. We go into more depth. We go into training on how to place trail cameras, how to set them up. For example, this is still a basic trail camera I already owned. I've got it in place, but it's pointing towards the sun, so it's going to have a lot of lens glare on it. This one was placed primarily so people would see there's a camera. Now, when I criminally trespass somebody for being out here, they had a warning that there's a camera, and they had intentionally disabled a surveillance device on an agricultural property. So again, there's different laws in different states. The members that are in this little coaching program, the cohort, we're talking again, camera placement, how to set up positive barriers, some things we need to consider, ways to communicate with your neighbors, how to handle neighbors that are problems. The underlying issue here is that somebody physically turned off this camera, and it would have had a lower battery level if it had been turned off recently. So it was likely turned off shortly after it was put in. And again, we have a procedure for implementing the cameras. I'll share all those details with you in the coaching program or in the course itself. But the key is, there's a link below. The key is, I know the camera was operational when it was put in place. It is now non-operational with a full battery after 3 months. I'm gonna find out what's going on. Now, what are some of the reasons somebody would steal the SD card or turn off your cameras? Well, they turn off your cameras because they know that they're trespassing, and that is an implied guilt. Therefore, any case you have against them will stick. If there were livestock missing or different things like that, it's important to know these things. I'm not just being an ass. Secondly, a lot of people will snag the SD card and then go find out what deer you've got so they know when to come back for deer themselves. Now there are strategies where you can set the time off on the camera itself, and so when they look at the camera, the times are not going to match, but a smart hunter will know what sunlight looks like and kind of can tell by looking at the pictures what time it is. But the larger point here is I'm evidencing in this video that somebody turned off my camera. So I've had a missing SD card, I've had cameras turned off, and ultimately I have to go do a little investigation to find out what's going on. It's not likely that AEP will turn off the cameras. I was hoping to have some footage from AEP putting in the power lines because I'm so excited about that. Anyway, stay tuned. Make sure you're on the email newsletter because we're posting fewer and fewer things on the public internet. There's a lot of people getting upset because I trespass ATVers and stuff like that, or that I secure a property, and that language of security bothers people because they think there's no such thing as private property. But we're at a point in time in society, economically, personally, that you need to know how to have good physical security. You need to know how to handle environmental changes, like if there were storms or weather, how to address if you have property theft or other issues that can happen on a small farm or homestead, how to handle these things, because Walgreens is shutting down stores because people are stealing. Other stores have people stealing all the time. You see it on TV. There's nothing to stop somebody from coming back here and taking animals. We had in our region somebody steal multiple cows. They showed up in a large truck, like tractor trailer sized truck, and hauled off cattle. You just can't ask cows to get in the truck. You have to know what you're doing to steal that kind of stuff. Now is the time to invest in your education, to secure your property, and to make sure that your private property stays private and that your land is protected from legal liability, it's protected from theft, it's protected from your own animals leaving. If your animals were to leave your farm, would you know? Anyway, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. You can visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org to ask your questions on the contact page, or to get our free newsletter on the newsletter page, visit www.prosperityhomestead.org. And I'll get to the bottom of this, of who turned off this camera.